Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Wednesday lighting critique. I'm going to start. Well, we got a few things to go through today. We have an update to Kat's project here of the animated dino, and we've got some reference images from her. We've got some still images here from Kelvin, Stephanie, and Ubed, and so we're going to look at those in just a minute. I did want to start with something right off the top, though, which is something that came up, and it was just. And actually, Aaron, we were just talking about this offline too. This idea of, like having interviews and what you should say and what you shouldn't say. And the one thing that I always tell people after being on the other side of the interview process is that your control over the interview process is actually less than you think, or about you getting hired. And a perfect example of this just came up recently, and so I thought it was worth noting. The idea was that we have a friend of mine who now works at a bigger animation studio reached out and was like, hey, Mike, we're hiring these lighting technical assistants. It would be like an entry-level lighting job. You've got great students. We've had great success with you in the past. Do you have people that would be interested? I posted it. Some people went over for the interview. He messaged me about some people. We had a great dialogue about it, and we were going back and forth. And then all of a sudden, he sent me. He's like, "Dude, I'm so sorry. We're actually changing the role. It's no longer going to be like in the lighting department. It's going to be part of the software engineering group. So it's actually going to be a software engineer person." He was like, "We've got all these people in mind. We had these great talks and all that. But the point of it was that even if you interviewed at this company, even if you had like an incredible interview and they loved you, that position, it just changed. So like, there's nothing you could have done about it. And luckily, this company, I think, what it sounds like, was reaching out to people and letting them know that the title has changed. But I've been in situations where they actively do not. They'll be like, "No, we're not gonna reach out to these people because." They were like, legally, I don't know, like we may want to reach out to them again, but from the person who's being interviewed standpoint, it just looks like you went in, and then they never called you back, and you're like, oh man, what did I do wrong? And then you start over analyzing your answers. You're like, oh, why did I say that? Like, oh, I'm such an idiot. And really, you are not an idiot. You did everything perfectly fine. It's just what happened at the company changes. So I just wanted to say that because that is a situation that just happened, and it's much more common than you think. So even though, and like I said, there are times you could go in for an interview and they've already offered the position to somebody else, but they're just interviewing you as a backup in case that person says no. There are countless, like the funding could dry, the funding could dry up and the position that was open is closed. Maybe the person that was going to leave and create the vacancy decided that they're not going to leave. A million things can happen between your interview and the job happening. So I wouldn't. So basically, what I'm saying is just take it easy on yourself if you have an interview that and you don't hear a call back from it. It's not. It's actually usually it's less the person and more about the company changing things around sometimes. So, okay. With that in mind, let's go ahead and hop into some images here. By the way, I'm going to keep adjusting my exposure on my camera because the sun is just going in and out here. Okay, here we go. So, Kat, talk to us a little bit about what's updated here.
I changed the floor texture for one. I don't know why. I got to figure out why it keeps adding that extra frame at the end. Anyway, changed the lighting a little bit, made it more like afternoon top-down lighting, changed the floor, added some more vegetation. Changed the opening camera angle and did some tweaks. I was rewatching a live stream from a guy who knows Unreal backwards and forwards. I was like, oh, I need to check all these settings. So I went back and changed some settings, and I think it looks a lot better.
Okay, cool. And for those watching, character textures, shaders are going to be coming at some point. So I won't comment on the characters too much. Like, there are definitely things like he is just very, very dark coming out of here. But we can deal with that once the shaders come in. So, let's take a look. So also, and we've got some reference here. Reference that was not allowed by Discord. Again, Discord does not like dinosaurs not
There's
wearing
nothing
clothing
better.
apparently, and it's like, nope, that is inappropriate. You cannot post that. So Kat had to email me this.
Wait, was that a thing again today?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
what you're looking at on my screen right now was not allowed
DJ
to post.
Flippin'.
You know, I bet it's King Kong. I bet it's a naked King Kong. Anyway, or something triggered something on it. I think it's funny. Anyway,
You came up with a perfect gift. I remember like 2 weeks ago, you had like the ideal gift in response to that. I can't remember what it was, but it was amazing.
I forget what it was. I remember like hesitating and thinking it might be inappropriate to post.
No, it was fantastic.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So the one thing about all of these, like, I think, some of these are, you can tell the difference between the nature-y ones and the cinematic ones pretty immediately, right? Like,
Right.
like this is just kind of like a picture of this thing, and like this feels like a picture of the landscape. These dragons over here kind of just feel like they're just things in nature. If you were like going for something that was more like photoreal, this is probably where we'd go. There's not a lot of contrast. The key to fill ratio is pretty high. But then when we start talking about some of these guys, they get a little more dramatic. You got a lot of rim light on them. There's some mist. There's a feeling of him being huge. This one is a higher contrast as well, and we're allowing some of the facial features to go into darkness. Now, I think that is something to keep in mind with some of this stuff, and it's really more about where you what you want to do, because if it's more about like it feeling like real, then I would say kind of lean maybe even a little bit more towards the more brighter stuff. If you're feeling more cinematic, then it's almost like, because the King Kong stuff, and I watched a trailer for that after discussing this. It's like it really does. They made it feel like old Hollywood soundstage, like lots of directional light, lots of stage lighting setup. So it's like over the top.
Right.
So, and basically the reason why I'm bringing that up is the environment lighting right now feels more of the natural standpoint. Although the shadows do get a little bit darker. There's not a lot of bounce light in there. And so it's if we want to create, and a lot of it too is because there's the haze back here, which is just lifting all the dark values and kind of flattening everything out.
Okay.
So what I think is now is a good time to determine whether or not we want to, like, if you want to go the cinematic approach or the natural approach, and you don't have to decide right now. You can play around with it a little more, and because that'll kind of dictate how we really want to do this. So if
Yeah, I know, I guess part of it is, when I was originally talking to the animator, he was talking about making it look really photoreal. Mm-hmm. And the environment I'm using is a very realistic one. So I'm kind of like torn between if I want to make it like more cinematic or just make it look like a nature documentary.
Yeah.
I haven't decided that. Because part of it too is Unreal exterior lighting. There is a lot of, they have all the tools for the really good outdoor exterior lighting. So I'm kind of playing with that. Mm-hmm. But I haven't decided if I want to, how cinematic I want to make it. Because then I can really play with it a bit more. This is my first outdoor scene too. So I'm kind of not sure my mindset yet.
No, that's fine. And so just stuff to play around with. Because there are things like this. Let's see. Like this rock right here would get a lot more bounce light than that in that region, and like a bright sunny daytime, like looking at the reference again, there's just actually a lot of this stuff is pretty toned down, but like looking at this, only kind of underneath this deep rock do we see like these darker shadows. Like if you're looking in here, like these are pretty lifted, and same thing over here, like the shadows don't get too dark unless we're really underneath something. So, so there's that mind, and then in terms of, and this is good because the fact that it's 2 shots, this is a good challenge because we'll want to make sure that they're matching up because that's always a challenge with lighting sequences, is making sure that everything looks consistent.
Mhm.
In terms of the camera, again at the beginning, I would make it so the monkey doesn't exit frame.
So on the jump up, okay,
Yeah,
I
on the
can
jump
fix
up.
that.
I'm fine with that. Like when even that I would because the monkey's the center of interest here. Like that's
Right.
That's what the camera operator would be following. So I would follow up, down, and then up again. And that could be that could even be something to check and reference too, like documentary of primates swinging through the trees and like watch how the camera moves to follow them would be
Right.
cool.
Okay. And as far as you can see the dinosaur's feet on that opening shot as he gets closer. The way the animation is, the dinosaur doesn't start moving till right before he has to move to where the monkey can hit him. So I don't know if I can show too much more of him because he's kind of just standing there frozen until he moves into frame.
If that's the case, I almost say that we should, because I can see it, right? I would.
Yeah, I have you can see him walking. You can see the feet, but if I move the trees away, you're going to just see him standing straight there unless I change the camera angle and maybe go tighter in on the monkey. So you're kind of following him, but then you won't see the dinosaur. So
no, in that case, I would say almost put a tree to cover. It's almost like cover him up entirely at that point, because what you don't want is you don't want it being just static, because that's not great. So that's fine.
I could work on maybe doing something in sequencer and putting a shot of the dinosaur walking, like edit some frames of him walking at the beginning so you see there's a dinosaur and then cut to the monkey and then do the fight scene. So that way you leave where there's a dinosaur.
Don't worry about that. Let's just, for the first shot, let's just focus on the monkey and then we'll make it about attacking these guys.
Okay.
And then once they get in here, that's cool that they go back into shadow there, but it just like at this point, once the monkey gets its actual shaders on there, like that might be a little too dark.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he just basically has a brown color on him. That's it, just for differentiation.
Cool. A couple things I did. I guess I was looking at this rock. It's got a weird feel to it with it's almost like it's metallic or something.
Yeah, and they're not interacting with the floor right. I need to figure out why the floor shader looks funky. I don't know if it's how I attached it. Because it doesn't look like they're on the floor. They're like interacting with the dirt. So I'm going to have to figure out the landscape setup.
Got it.
Still.
Is the animator still working on the animation too?
He was, but he got a job.
Okay.
So this is kind of what I have. We were going back and forth for a while, and then he got a job. It was actually going to be like a 30-second sequence. And then he just ended up, getting a job and stuff. He was with Griffin Academy. And so that's where I got this from. This is only like half of the full sequence, but I figured it'd be a good thing for me to use to play around in Unreal.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. It was just there are some odd.
And this is actually the first iteration of it. I have a better iteration. This one doesn't even have USBs on it.
Yeah.
The better iteration, I'm going to do the shaders on and then import it into here because I was having issues importing the other one, so I got to fix it. Yeah. But this is like the first iteration of it. The second iteration is actually a little longer, and I think it's a bit better with the floor and all that. So that'll be coming.
The only thing, because it doesn't need to be like perfect animation or anything. It's just there's a lot of ground penetration between the animals and the.
Yep.
Like I'm just watching the right hand of this, and he goes, it's in the floor now, and then when he kind of falls back, it's just buried in there. So I just didn't know if that stuff would be, if that was still temp or what, but that's fine. It's fine. You can work with this.
Something that might help sell it a bit more, like you were talking about, like contacts and hiding like things, is we saw last night in a tutorial that Unreal has you can literally just paint texture on the geo right inside of Unreal. Maybe there's a sculpting tool as well where you can around the rocks make little impact craters or impact mounds with the dirt built up, and you could probably hide some of that ground penetration with the animal if you built up. I mean, I don't know, just the ground plane feels flat.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if you have access to Substance Painter. I know ZBrush could do this very easily. Maya could probably do this very easily if you exported all this geo out, but I mean, if you're not familiar with those pieces of software, I would just see if Unreal has that ability to quickly do it as well. Because
Yeah, you can sculpt the landscape. There's a whole landscape sculpting tool in it. I just haven't I've messed with it a little bit, but I need to mess with it some more. I do plan to do more work on the ground.
yeah, if you can do it, like even like I'm looking at that back tree, and the hard line. Well, maybe not. That one's actually like I'm looking at the back right tree. Maybe this front left one though just feels very like kind of just like shoved into a flat polygon. Like if you could like build up some dirt around it, like almost anywhere that there's something sitting in the ground, that's gonna just make it feel just a little more natural, I would think.
What?
Yep.
One other thing.
It's on the list.
So this is like, of course, is it 5? Let's see, Canyon. Of course, this is like, I guess this is it. This is one of those like, I'm showing you the actual company's like main demo of this, and you're just learning it, so it's very unfair, to be clear. But like, I was just reminded of some of this stuff too. It would be a really good reference. There's this one, and then there's
no pressure, Mike. Seriously,
no pressure. Just do the thing that everyone was losing their minds over. Was this one too?
Actually, the tutorial I was watching, or the yesterday, the lighting one was actually in this environment, so that's why I was like, oh yeah, he used the Roll Australia one, so I wanted to watch it and see how he was lighting things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There was one. One that I'm trying to find. It doesn't matter. There's one that I was trying to find too that was like a like walking. It was showcasing the lighting stuff. Like walking through a cave.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like holy crap. And that was one of those that was just like, it was just really, this one.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why I'm kind of going more with the realistic kind of. Oh yeah. That was the Lumen. That was when UE5 Lumen and Nanite just came out.
Yeah.
So I think why I'm kind of going more towards like a realistic look, because that's kind of what Unreal is known for. So I wanted to kind of do it more realistic looking versus cinematic.
Yeah, totally. And I think one of the really cool things about this, like, I'm just gonna stop on this frame, and this is like something you can simulate, and this is for anybody. It's like, again, this pocket of sunlight is hitting right in here. Look how much the bounce is different here versus back here. Like that's the kind of stuff that really, it's the secondary effects of like major sunny bright hits on things. That's what really sells it for the audience. So just do this thing that got 16 million views. Just do that. All right, cool. On that note, let's move on to the stills. All right. Yeah, no problem. All right, let's start here with Kelvin. Let's take a look at we got the previous here and updated. So light off, the desk lamp is off. We've got a little bit more breakup of the volumetric coming through the window. So okay, cool. So when I was looking at this, the first thought that I had was that I think that there is too much. I like the haze coming in through the window. I think there's too much. Like, I like it here, but I think there's too much on the background, because what it's doing is it's like lifting all of the dark values and kind of like flattening it out just a little bit, and not like it's just in a way that it's almost like a haze over the top of it. Like I would almost want let's just try and do this here real quick. Like this area, a little bit of that out. Like I want the darks to come down just a little bit, so that we can get. Push this too a little more, so that we can get a little bit more of like more kind of contrast back in this region. Oh, I did that too. And that way,
just by lowering the volume just by that door there.
Yeah. So basically everything. So we want that volume to, like, that kind of haze to be isolated to the volumetric stuff coming in through the window.
So do you think that I should cut it out by the door completely, or lower it by a ton? Or
I think cut it out completely, and then if we need to like sprinkle it back in, we can. But I think I think that's going to cause an issue. My other thought when I was looking at go back to the original is that I love the strong light source coming in through the window or through the door, and I think it's working really well. The areas that I would watch out for is this bright spot on the ground. It feels like it's just my eye wants to go there. And then the other thing is it's casting a little bit of a tight shadow, and this is much more about mood than photorealism or anything, because we don't see that light source. It could legit be anything. So it's more about like if we're trying to make is it like a normal. Is this like a happy night scene, or is this kind of like something might go down in this room? And that could be like the tightening of the shadows that we're seeing along from this clock here. The tighter that is, the more dramatic the room feeling is going to be. So I wouldn't go tighter than this, because I think that's about as you want a little bit of softness there from an interior light. But I would, it's more about like the mood that you're trying to set. If it's like a serene, calm, beautiful evening, I would increase that light's radius just to soften that shadow a little bit. All about the mood that you're trying to create.
So I wonder how you do that then, because right now I've just got an area light that's cut off by the gap in the door there.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how I would soften that.
Yeah, I mean, how is the area light the entirety of the door?
It's just outside the door, up a bit, angled down.
Mm-hmm. It's literally about like it would be about taking it and because it's an area light, and in most software. The physical area light's radius will soften the shadow a little bit, so it's literally about just making it bigger. The good thing about this set is is there? I'm trying to remember because I know I modified mine. Is by default is there a hallway out there? Is there stuff out there, or is it just kind of open?
It's just empty,
so you can make that light literally as big as you want.
Well, I've gone ahead and tried that, but the thing is that it's cut off by the gap in the door, so it can only get as big as that little gap there.
Oh. Yeah, it's fine with, because like it will be. It's just that if the light source itself is bigger, the shadow that it'll cast will be like even. Actually,
really?
I think so. It should. It should theoretically, but I'm trying to think if like this thing is being filtered through this little slot. It won't change like the angle of this light, but it will change the cast shadow softness.
Oh really? Okay. So I guess I'll just bring that way up and then increase the intensity.
Yeah. If you bring it up, depending on how it's being done, making it actually larger may also increase the intensity. So just be aware of that.
I think it'll lower it over the, like it's over a large area. So I guess I'll just increase the intensity to make up for that. But yeah.
And then in terms of, okay, so we'll take that back down. Yeah, I was increasing, like, just getting about this level of brightness out of that light, too, I think would be good. I mean, obviously the hotspot is the thing, but, like, what we're seeing in here, like, I really kind of want to push that a little bit higher so it's creating more of a focal point. And then for the light that's coming in through the window, I think it looks good. I think we could probably go even a little bit, I was going to say darker on the sky plate itself, but I think that's probably it's probably good. Maybe softening it by like 3 pixels to make it feel like it's out of focus a little bit, like it's way back in the distance. But the one thing I did want to say is it would be really, really cool, and you'll see this in some of the other some of these other sets, is if you got a light in here that was creating kind of a cool rim on some of this stuff. So like there's like a little bit of like a blue light that's kind of, it's more subtle than all the light over here, but it's just it's basically like this light, but just kind of like wrapping around a little bit on the telescope and on the window frame itself.
So I wonder how I would keep that from adding to the haze or having its own light.
I would do it as its own light. I would do it as a separate spotlight, with a little bit of a decent sized radius that was coming in through the window at a similar angle, but really focusing on just kind of hitting these objects. And it doesn't have to match perfectly with the angle of that volumetric, because the audience won't care. And if you have to, you can light link it specifically to these handful of props. like just like the trunk and the telescope and the window frame, and turn it off for everything else.
All right.
Good stuff, man.
And then
oh, good.
When I was initially lighting it, I expected that I would add a bunch of little lights like I did when I was doing the model. But like the little lights just to add specularity throughout these little objects. I'm not sure if you would do that or not.
I would, yeah. I think, yeah. And then also, I would definitely do that, just because like with these dark scenes, it kind of things tend to flatten out unless they have a little bit of that specular shaping. Same thing with like the fill side on characters and stuff. I think you could also probably, looking at this, I would, maybe like a 3 pixel blur on this background. These foreground objects, you might be able to put a little bit of depth of field on them too, but like just like a small blur on them as well. It would be kind of cool. Anybody else got anything? Any other thoughts?
I before you talked about it, I kind of just had some thoughts on the sky that were similar to what you were debating. I was like, it feels like it maybe just needs like the background sky and mountains need maybe like a 2 pixel diff focus, and then just maybe darker on the right. It just feels, I don't know, like I feel like the same as you. It's like I felt like I feel like it's weird, but like there's nothing I can directly point to and be like, that's the problem. A
lot of it is the style. So the room itself is very stylized. Not very stylized, but it's just stylized. And we were finding this when we were taking characters and assets from other sets and putting it in here. That all of a sudden those feel like very out of place. And I wonder if it's like the photo real element of the sky and the stars in the mountain out there too feels a little bit like it's not quite the same aesthetic as this kind of like interior with like this bubbly furniture and stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's why like a defocus could just help that, maybe just throw it out of focus a little bit.
Yeah.
So you think a defocus rather than trying to find another sky plate?
Yeah, I think the sky plate itself is good, and it's also like that we're getting really really fine detail in an object that's very far away as opposed to like seeing it in the closer stuff. It's kind of messing with our perspective that way. And by blurring it just a few pixels, like if I just do it here. If I took this and then just blurred it up again, like say like 3 pixels or something, and then just kind of erased some of these other elements, then it kind of broadens out those. It kind of it'll help. Like even just that will add a little bit to it.
So obviously I would do that in Nuke since that's a separate plate, and then to do the foreground elements, would you add like an f-stop to the camera and re-render that, or is there something that
you can do one of two things. You can either you can either do it in renderer. You can either put a depth of field setting in the camera in the renderer. You can also we do this. Are you using Arnold on this?
Yeah.
Okay. In the Arnold workshop and in the lighting for animation course, there are sections on adding Z to focus, which is taking the Z depth from. Actually, no. The Arnold workshop shows you how to do it in the renderer. The lighting for animation workshop will show you how to take Z depth as an AOV pass and use that to control the depth of field in comp. So you can do it either way.
Okay.
As a still, it's like the positives and negatives is that the in renderer one will look better. They've gotten better and better over the years. But it's just kind of like once it's kind of baked in, so it's harder to adjust. Is the only is the difference between the two.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, you could also just all the foreground stuff. You could render in their own layer, and then just defocus that layer in Nuke too. Like I know that we're always talking about in-camera stuff, but my computer's average, so I'm always looking for like ways to cheat. Yeah, if I can.
Cool.
All right.
It wouldn't work if it was animated. I mean, that's all. I guess I can just say that.
One thing I was thinking, I glanced at the Z pass before, and I've noticed that it's just completely white. I assume that there's some setting that I have to change.
Yeah. So what the Z depth setting is, it's not a visual image. It's actually It's literally like Z depth space. And it comes out. Yeah, don't trust what you see on it, because it's actually what you do is you're grabbing a node in Nuke that can interpret the data that's built into it. It's like looking at, I'm trying to think of another pass. It's like looking at even just like a normals pass. Like it really doesn't make much sense visually. I mean, I know it kind of does, but but you need something on the other end to kind of capture it and interpret that data, and Nuke has that. So so just because it like it usually renders either as like all white or all black. I don't know why it does either or, but yeah, I don't know why.
So what node would I use to take that completely white thing in Nuke? And
so you need to there's if you look at the demo in the lighting for animation, it's what you're going to do is you're going to pull out the Z channel out of the AOV, and then you're going to put it into a Z defocus node in Nuke.
Oh, okay.
And then there's some channel shuffling you have to do as well. But the Z defocus node will be your main node that you work with it with.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Stephanie. Let's check out our axolotl. See how she's doing. All right. Eyes are looking much better. That looks a lot better. Inside of the mouth looks better. If you can, and I think this is from looking at your file previously, I think it's in the base render. If you can paint out this, like the reflection that's not the ding on the eye, I would try and do that, because again, for those that are unaware, we had a sad case of a file that got lost, so we're just going with just using the existing passes. So I think you can actually just take this, and if you could, that looked awful. If you could just paint that out just a little bit better than I'm doing it now, and then isolate it to just up there, I think that would help. With eye ding, Z to focus looks good. Character looks happy. Pinks are looking really nice. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? I'll open this up while I kind of play with my thoughts here.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, this looks really good. I'm wondering too if there should be just like a little bit more darkening on the bottom area here. As we go down a little deeper.
While you're doing that, I have another question.
Shoot.
Do you, in animation, like in Blue Sky, did you guys ever use like lens dirt or lens? Let's see, there's dirt, and then it's just basically all dirt. Like it just kind of adds like an extra layer, but like I realize that it does bring attention to the lens, which are like some artists are okay with the lens being there, and other artists don't like the lens being there.
It's dependent on the project. We did it on Spies in Disguise a lot. We didn't do it in most other productions, so
okay.
It was just the aesthetic of the director and the art director. I remember I did it on a few shots, especially in the early trailers where we wanted to signal that this film was going to feel more cinematic, and more like an action film. And so we did that. Like we added smudges to the lens, and like there was like water would hit the lens sometimes and stuff. But like for Peanuts and for like the Ice Age movies, we never really did that stuff.
Okay, yeah, because it's really pretty, like for sure. Like if you didn't want to draw attention to the lens, then like I would say like it's cool the way it is. But like I started thinking like, well, is there algae on this lens? Is there like bubbles in the floor? Like I don't know. I just started thinking, especially if it's a still, the sky's the limit with a still, right? So it's.
Yeah, I mean, 70. You could play around with adding a filter over the top of it. I would just keep it subtle because I think this is looking really nice.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
No, stop.
Derail that. I just.
No, it's a great point. Yeah. I think that's good. And then so like I said, I would just kind of darken. That's really my only note, is just clean up the eye ding and then just darken a little bit more as we get down to the lower left-hand part of the image. Like really make this a nice gradient of light falling off as we come down. But really, really beautiful stuff. And again, in difficult circumstances. Really, really, really strong work. All right, Ubed, we get the last one here for the day. Let's see. Oh, I meant to pull in his from yesterday. That's okay. I thought I had it. Hold on. No, I guess I didn't.
I'm jealous of this one. It looks so good.
Yeah. There we go. I got it now. Yeah, this is looking great. I think this is... Ubed is very good. So this is yesterday's. Today. So we wanted to de-emphasize what was going on back there, kind of brighten that light up a little bit. Yeah, I think this is great. I think my biggest thing is that I just want to separate these two areas a little. Like, I just want a little bit more darkness right in there. Like, if we could isolate this light so it doesn't quite stretch that far, and same thing with this one. I just want a touch more darkness. So let me just mark this up here. In here. Because I think what that will do will really kind of help us focus in on one area. Yeah. Yeah, just something like that. Too. Just like, really, you know what it is too? It's kind of like just this area in the background here, back behind this crate and back over there. Just allowing that to go a little bit darker would be really cool. So I'm fine with all this. This has got, like, again, the darkness over here looks really beautiful. Specularity on the ground, the dirt that's going on down there. I think the characters are like, these two characters on the left are lit really well. I think this one on the right, I would, if you could maybe put a little bit more light on the screen left side. Again, and this one too, maybe favor the light a little bit more the screen right side. Really, we want this area to be the focus. And by lighting that character on that side, this character exactly the way it is, that one looks good. And then putting some more on this side, we really kind of center it all in that area a little bit more. But that's really my only thought on this. If you could add, I'm sorry, now I'm just like staring really closely at the screen. This thing up here, this ceiling cross, like, you've got so much nice grit and dirt on this side and on this wall, where this one looks a little bit more consistent. If you could add a little bit of what's going on with this tile up there too, that would be great. Yeah, everything else is looking really good. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Like I was saying, it's just really cool. Like, I feel like, even though it's just a still, like, I feel the story in it. Like, I feel like I understand where, like, Earth is at. Like, I feel like I understand what time period this is. Like, I just feel like I understand, like, the stage of, like, humanity, or the state of humanity at this point. Like, it just, this image is really, really cool.
So you're getting the rom-com vibes of this shot? I like that. Set in the early 80s? No, it's none of that. Yeah, no, this is definitely what we talk about when we're talking about, like, creating a mood and selling a story with the lighting. Really beautiful stuff. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today. If you all need anything else, like I said, I'll be circling back on the Discord server, and I will see you all tomorrow. Sound good? All right. Be good, everyone. Have a great day.
Cool. Bye.
Take care.
See
Bye.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.